गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदा नंदना जय भजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय भजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय भजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय भजन रंजना जय यमुना गिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना गिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय जगन्नाथ बलदेव माई की जय नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री गुरुदेव की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं उदीरयेत्. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Narayana, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, Police Mata is. So welcome all of you and thank you very much for keeping the appointment with Krishna today. 12th of February 2025 today is. And we will be discussing from 4th canto, 9th chapter, verse number 66. So let us recite the verse first. Vikshoda vayasam tam cha prakritinam cha sammatam anurakta prajam raja dhruvam chakre bhuvaspatim vikshoda vayasam tam cha prakritinam cha sammatam anurakta prajam raja Dhruvam chakre bhavapatim. वीक्ष्योढ वयसं तं च प्रकृतीनां च सम्मतम् अनुरक्तप्रजं राजा ध्रुवं चक्रे भुवपतिम्. Anyone, Mataji and Prabhuji can recite.
Hare Krishna. May I recite, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
वीक्ष्योढ वयसं तं च प्रकृतीनां च सम्मतम् अनुरक्तः प्रजं राजा ध्रुवं चक्रे भुवः पतिम्.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any Prabhujis?
Hare Krishna. May I?
Yes, yes.
वीक्ष्योढवयसं तं च प्रकृतीनां च सम्मतम् अनुरक्तप्रजं राजा ध्रुवं चक्रे भुवपतिम्.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. The word to word meaning, synonyms. Vikshya, after seeing. Uda Vayasam, mature in age. Tam, Dhruva. Cha, and. Prakriti na, by the ministers. Cha, also. Sammatam, approved of. Anurakta, beloved. Prajam, by his subjects. Raja, the king. Dhruvam, Dhruva Maharaj. Chakre, made. Bhuva, of the earth. Patim, master. Translation and purport by His Divine Yeshua Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. When, after concentration, King Uttanapada saw that Dhruva Maharaj was suitably mature to take charge of the kingdom and that his ministers were agreeable, and the citizens were also fond of him, he enthroned Dhruva as emperor of this planet. Purport. Although it is misconceived that formerly the monarchical government was autocratic, from the description of this verse it appears that not only was King Uttanapada Rajarishi, but before installing his beloved son Dhruva on the throne of the empire of the world, he consulted his ministerial officers, considered the opinion of the public, and also personally examined Dhruva's character. Then the king installed him on the throne to take charge of the affairs of the world. When a Vaishnava king like Dhruva Maharaj is the head of the government of the entire world, the world is so happy that it is not possible to imagine or describe. Even now, we people would all become Krishna conscious. The democratic government of the present day would be exactly like the kingdom of heaven. If all people became Krishna conscious, they would vote for persons of the category of Dhruva Maharaj. If the post of the chief executive were occupied by such a Vaishnava, all the problems of satanic government would be solved. The youthful generation of the present day is very enthusiastic in trying to overthrow the government in different parts of the world. But unless people are Krishna conscious like Dhruva Maharaj, there will be no appreciable changes in government because people who anchor to attain political position by hook or by crook cannot think of the welfare of the people. They are only busy to keep their position of prestige and monetary gain. They have very little time to think of the welfare of the citizens. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Agyantamara Andasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmirtamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Vaimrupagata Tatati Sipadatikum Vandeyam Shri Guru Shutapadkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Rughunathamitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakadhamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Nustate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम तत्प्रविश्य मम वाच इमां प्रसुप्तां संजीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्रणमामि भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं मुखं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं नमो विष्णुवे विष्णुकृष्णाय नमो विष्णुवे जय श्री कृष्ण जय So Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mata is So this chapter is entitled Dhruva Maharaj Returns Home. See, the purport of the 41st verse, Prabhupada says, after the departure of Dhruva Maharaj from the palace, King Uttanapada was very afflicted. But by the kind words of Narada Muni, he was partially satisfied. He could understand the great fortune of his wife Suniti and the great misfortune of Queen Suruchi. For these facts were certainly very open in the palace. But still, when the news reached the palace that Dhruva Maharaj was returning, his mother Suniti, out of her great compassion and due to being the mother of a great Vaishnava, did not hesitate to take the other wife Suruchi and her son Uttama on the same palanquin. That was the greatness of Queen Suniti, the mother of the great Vaishnava, Dhruva Maharaj. See, upon seeing Dhruva Maharaj approaching the neighboring small forest, King Uttanapada, with great haste, got down from his chariot. He had been very anxious for a long time to see his son Dhruva. And therefore, with great love and affection, he went forward to embrace his long-lost boy. Breathing very heavily, the king embraced him with both arms. But Dhruva Maharaj was not the same as before. He was completely sanctified by the spiritual advancement due to having been touched with the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when King Uttanapada heard, see in the 37th verse, you can see, when King Uttanapada heard that his son Dhruva was coming back home, as if coming back to life after death, he could not put his faith, in this message, because he was doubtful of how it could happen. Because King Uttanapada considered himself the most wretched. He thought that it was not possible for him to attain such good fortune. See, Dhruva Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, he went to the forest for penance, and austerity. The king could not at all believe that a small boy of such a tender age, he could live in the forest. He was certain that Dhruva Maharaj was dead. So he therefore could not fix his faith in the message that Dhruva Maharaj was coming back home again. Initially, he will feel like that, right? So for him, this message said that a dead man was coming back home. So he could not believe it. So after Dhruva Maharaj's departure from home, King Uttanaba thought that he was the cause of Dhruva's leaving. And thus he considered himself the most wretched. So even though it was possible that his lost son was coming back from the kingdom of death, he thought that since he was most sinful, it was not possible for him to be so fortunate as to get back to his son. He was so much repenting. That's why in the previous 65th verse purport, when Dhruva Maharaj was in the forest, executing his austerities, his father Uttanapada heard everything about his wonderful activities. Although Dhruva Maharaj was the son of a king and was only 5 years old, he went to the forest and executed devotional service under strict austerity, which we know, right? We have seen in this chapter. So his acts were all wonderful. And when he came back home, naturally, because of his spiritual qualifications, he became very popular amongst the citizens. He must have performed many wonderful activities by the grace of the Lord. See, no one is more satisfied than the father of a person who is credited with glorious activities. So Maharaj Uttanapada was not an ordinary king. He was a Rajarishi, a saintly king. So formerly, this earth was ruled by one saintly king only. Kings were trained to become saintly. Therefore, they had no other concern than the welfare of the citizens. And these saintly kings, they were properly trained. And as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also, the science of God or the yoga system of devotional service, known as Bhagavad Gita, was spoken to the saintly king of the sun planet, right? And gradually descended through the Kshatriya kings, who were generated from the sun and the moon. So if the head of the government is saintly, certainly the citizens become saintly. And they are very happy because both their spiritual and physical needs and hankerings are all satisfied. So in the purport of this current verse, See, now King Uttanabala, he wanted to install his beloved son on the throne, right? Dhruva Maharaj. So what happened? See, before installing his beloved son Dhruva on the throne of the empire world, what did he do? Number one, he consulted his ministerial officers. Number two, he considered the opinion of the public. And third, personally examined Dhruva's character. Then the king installed him on the throne to take charge of the affairs of the world. So three things he did, right? Consulted his ministerial officers. Then he considered the opinion of the public. And then personally examined Dhruva's character. So King Muktanaba saw that Dhruva Maharaj was suitably mature to take charge of the kingdom. So this word is very important, maturity. For the ruling and also in devotional service. See, maturity in devotional service is very, very important. You can take some lessons from this. See, while practicing Krishna consciousness, we take part in various services, like learning the scriptures, organizing programs, doing preaching work, helping in preaching, in addition to our devotional practice of chanting and reading, right? Apart from that, we do all these things. So the final fruit of all these services and sadhana is to develop mature behavior, and which is a rare spiritual asset. It is very difficult to develop. That's why B for Bhagavad Gita, B for Bhagavatam, B for behavior. Mature behavior. Behavior is okay, maturity is required. My Guru Maharaj, he says, maturity is a gift from Krishna. Maturity is a gift from Krishna. When Krishna is pleased with your devotional service, he gives this gift. And most of the instructions in our scriptures are about improving our behavior. Only a few verses talk about spiritual world and Krishna. Mostly it is improving our behavior. So it is the rarest gift to get from Krishna. Our behavior is very matured and sensible when we are glorified. Correct? And things go in our way. And when we are criticized or humiliated, our true color comes out, whether we are here mature or not. And when we are humiliated, criticized, the first thing we lose is our maturity. So it is a rare gift and difficult to acquire and protect because it can be easily lost. So after the Rajasuya sacrifice was performed by King Yudhishthira, Narada Muni appeared in the palace of the king. So the king greeted Narada Muni and asked him, "O king, have your study of the Vedas, your wealth, marriage, and your knowledge of the scriptures have become fruitful?" Then Yudhishthira asked, "How does study of Vedas, wealth, wife, and knowledge of scriptures become fruitful?" Narada Muni answered very beautifully. He says, the study of the Vedas are said to bear fruit when the person who has studied them performs the Agnihotra and other sacrifices. Wealth is said to bear fruit when one spends properly for one's maintenance and given in charity to proper persons. A wife is said to bear fruit when she begets proper children. The knowledge of scriptures is fruitful when it results in matured behavior. Very important, mature behavior. So when a person possesses mature behavior, please listen to this. When a person possesses very mature behavior, all the opulences he possesses will enable him to advance spiritually. If a person bereft of spiritual qualities and mature behavior possesses wealth, it causes him to commit a lot of sins and offenses, and it will push him to the lower species of life. So one can attain the full benefit of his opulences only when he is matured in his behavior. Now, Prahlad Maharaj was a great example of this. From his childhood, he was an abode of all spiritual qualities and an example for all saintly persons. That's why Bhagavatam 3:14-49 says, Alam pataha shila dharo guna karo, which means he will be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. So Prabhupada says, Prahlad Maharaj, the exemplary devotee of the Lord, he had all the good qualities humanly possible. Although he was the emperor of this world, he was not very proud of having all those things, right? So beginning from his childhood, he was a reservoir of all good qualities. So without enumerating those qualities, it is said that he was endowed with all good qualities. That is a sign of a pure devotee. Also, his spiritual qualities are glorified by all. And he was as good as the Supreme Lord. That's why in Bhagavatam 7.4.34, Narada Muni says, O king, Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas. As all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. So Prabhupada explains that devotee acquires qualities almost the same as those of the Lord because of unalloyed devotional service. Ordinary living beings cannot be so qualified, but a devotee can be qualified like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not in full, but partially. So there's a nice story in Mahabharata to explain this fact. Once, Prahlad Maharaj, by the merit of his behavior, had immense strength. So he conquered Indra and subjugated all the three worlds. Even Devatas were happy about this and wanted to be under Prahlad Maharaj's rule rather than Indra. So Indra approached Brihaspati, his spiritual master, and asked, please tell me what is the cause of highest bliss. Now Brihaspati replied, transcendental knowledge is the cause of highest bliss. So Brihaspati advised Indra to approach sage Bhargava to attain that knowledge. Now sage Bhargava instructed Indra in spiritual knowledge up to a certain point, and then advised him to approach Prahlad Maharaj for further knowledge. So Indra now disguised himself in the form of a Brahmana and approached Prahlad Maharaj and requested for transcendental knowledge. Now Prahlad Maharaj told him, oh Brahmana, I am busy in ruling all the three worlds, so do not have the time to instruct you. So Indra answered, I can stay with you all day and you can instruct me when you get leisure time. So Prahlad Maharaj was very pleased and said, okay, so be it. So whenever there was free time, Prahlada instructed Indra. Now Indra served Prahlada Maharaj as a very obedient disciple and exactly acted in every way which would please Prahlad and learnt all the aspects of spiritual knowledge. Now once Indra asked him, by what means you have been able to win the sovereignty of the three worlds? So Prahlada Maharaj replied, it is due to my matured behavior. I won over the three worlds. I do not take pride in rulership of all the three worlds. I am fully obedient to the teachings of my spiritual master, Shukracharya. I do not envy any living entity. I have conquered my senses and given up anger. I faithfully serve saintly persons and taste the nectar of instructions dropped by them. He then explained the various aspects of virtuous behavior. Also, since Indra served Prahlad Maharaj as a menial servant, Prahlad said, oh Brahmana, I am really pleased by your sincere service as an obedient disciple. So please ask me any benediction you like. I will grant you the same. Now Indra humbly replied, yes, I will obey your instruction and take a benediction from you. If you are really pleased with my service and obedience and to give me something beneficial for me, please gift me your behavior. This is the boon I want. I solicit. So Prahlada was very delighted to hear this boon. At the same time, he was shocked to hear it from a Brahmana, because as he expected, the Brahmana would ask for some wealth. So he understood that this Brahmana is not a normal person, but someone extraordinary. So he granted the boon, and Indra, in the form of Brahmana, took the boon and went away. So we can see that because of behavior of Prahlad, Indra, who is the king of the Devatas, became his disciple and served him like a menial servant. He also asked Prahlad's behavior as a gift. So mature behavior is a gift desired even by the Devatas. See, in Bhagavatam 3rd canto, 14th chapter, 46th verse, we find Kashyapa Muni consoles Diti by saying that although her sons are of demonic nature, she will be blessed with a grandson called Prahlad Maharaj, who will be very dear to the devotee of the Lord. So glorifying his character, Kashyapa Muni says in verse 3, 14, 46, that even great people would emulate Prahlad's behavior. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying process rectify gold of inferior quality. The Prabhupada states in the purport, without self-control, one cannot practice freedom from animosity. In the conditional state, no, every living being is envious of another. But in the liberated state, there is an absence of animosity. See, Prahlad Maharaj was tortured by his father in so many ways. Yet after the death of his father, Prahlad Maharaj prayed for his father's liberation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not ask any benediction that he might have asked. But he prayed that his atheistic father might be liberated. He never cursed any of the persons who engaged in torturing him at the instigation of his father. So once Indra left, no, Prahlad Maharaj was sitting alone and thought, who was the Brahmana? He was also anxious that he gifted away his behavior, which is the greatest treasure. At that time, a beautiful effulgent female form came out of Prahlad's body. And he asked who the person was. She replied, I am the behavior personified. Since you have gifted me, I am leaving you and reaching the Brahmana who was your student. So she entered the body of Indra, personified behavior. After some time, another effulgent form came out of Prahlad's body. Then he asked, who are you? The form replied, I am Dharma, religious principles. Religious principles personified. I reside where there is behavior. So I am leaving you and reaching that Brahma. Following this, truth personified left Prahlad and entered Indra, saying, I am truth, I stay where there is Dharma. Now following this, Punya personified left Prahlad and entered Indra, saying, I am Punya, pious credits, I reside where Dharma resides. Now following this, strength personified left Prahlad, reached Indra, saying, I am strength, I reside where Punya resides. Following this, prosperity personified came out of the body of Prahlad Maharaj. And he asked, who are you? He replied, I am the goddess of fortune. I reside where there is strength, and now I am leaving now to the Brahmana. Now Prahlad Maharaj prayed to her and inquired, Mother, please tell me who the Brahmana was. She replied, the Brahmana was none other than Indra. The root of all your success is your saintly behavior, by which you conquered all the three worlds. So he took your behavior as a gift, and all the opulences automatically followed it and reached Indra. So she then disappeared. So Prahlad Maharaj understood that it is the divine arrangement of Lord Narasimha, indicating to Prahlad that it is time to reach the spiritual world. And he fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Narahari. Then he ascended to the spiritual world to eternally serve the lotus feet of his eternal master, Bhagavan Narasimha. So we can see from the pastime that once Prahlad Maharaj gifted his behavior, all the opulences such as piety, strength, they all followed and reached Indra one by one, proving that everything follows behavior. Actually, mature behavior is not lost by donating. Mature behavior is not lost by donating. The fact is that Indra, by the association of Prahlad Maharaj, attained mature behavior. But this incident is a nice pastime happened by Lord's will to demonstrate the rarity of mature behavior. So Bhagavatam Shloka 7, 4, 35, 36, it reinforces this greatness of Prahlad Maharaj and how his qualities are discussed and glorified even now by demons and demigods. So any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhishthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. Who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul, Mahatma. So this is mature behavior. So let us pray at the lotus feet of our Guru, Prabhupada and Krishna, no? So we can get the desire for this pure devotional service. See, so get a mature behavior, you have to invest somewhere, right? See, making financial investment is a crucial requirement nowadays for everyone considering, because of unsteady economic conditions, right? So what happens? We try to invest our money in bank in the form of saving, insurance, right? See, insurance policies are meant to provide financial assistance to our families after we die, after the policy maturity. So we invest in houses, real estates, so that our dependents can enjoy these assets even after we leave this world and make use of the asset for their living. But unfortunately, there is no investment or insurance scheme offered by banks or insurance companies which will accompany us after we die. The scriptures point out the spiritual investment we can make in this connection, and this investment will protect us even after death. In the Mahabharata, Vidura instructs Dhritarashtra about handing over the kingdom back to Pandavas. So their conversation lasted for an entire night, and this is known as Vidur Niti. So Vidura explains how one should perform activities in this world. He says, do those activities during the day which will make you to pass the night in happiness. And do those activities during the 8 months of the year which will enable you to pass the rainy season happily. Do those activities during youth which will ensure you a happy old age. And do those activities during your life in this world which will enable you to achieve eternal life after death. There is an interesting story in this regard. A beggar entered into a foreign country, island, where he was resting under a tree. Now the people of the island were looking for a person to be their king. So the priests in the island, they arranged for an elephant in the temple to carry a garland. And whoever is garlanded by the elephant, they will be the king. So the elephant chose the beggar and garlanded him, and he became the king. So he was very happy to see the opulent palaces with all arrangements for nice, right? And everyone, it is just beck and call. At that time, an old man came to him and said, see, young man, the rule of this island is that you can be king here only for 5 years. After this, the people will send you to an unmanned island, which is far from here. Same fate has happened to all the kings who were selected before you. So all of the enjoyment you have here is temporary. So the king became shocked and inquired, so what happened to those kings who were sent to that island? The old man replied, there are a lot of wild animals in that island. May have been killed. Same will be your fate after 5 years. Now the king was scared and asked the old man what to do. Old man said, please rule the kingdom to the best of your ability. At the same time, start doing developments in that island where you will be sent after 5 years. In these 5 years, as you are king, people will listen to you and carry out whatever you say. So please utilize it. Ensure that the island is a perfect place to live by that time. I instructed the same things to the previous kings. No one listened to me. And they just wasted their 5 years enjoying kingly life. At least you don't repeat that mistake. The king took this instruction seriously. And he first sent a batch of soldiers to clear out the forest area and fence it. In the second year, he sent workers to the island to construct a beautiful township with all the facilities. Next year, he sent farmers to create fields and growing crops. Next year, he sent a good number of people to live there. In this way, he was making constant developments in that unmanned island. As expected, the people expelled the king after 5 years and sent him to the unmanned island. But by this time, the island was a beautiful township and many people were waiting to receive him. The king just landed there and started his new life happily, thanks to the old man's advice. So in this story, we can see that the king utilized his temporary tenure very wisely under the guidance of the old man. In the same way, after attaining this human form of life, one should make this spiritual investment under the guidance of pure devotees. Because the human body, with all the senses and faculty of advanced intelligence, is very suitable for God realization. So when they are in good working condition, if we engage them in devotional service, we can accrue permanent spiritual assets and which can take us back to the Lord's eternal abode. Sometimes the investment we make in financial market may not give us the expected result. The stock market may crash, or the money we get from an investment may be lost in medical treatment. However, there is no loss or diminution of investment in the spiritual endeavor, because the Lord Krishna personally takes care of our spiritual advancement, as he says in 2.40 Bhagavad Gita. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So Prabhupada explains in the purport about making the spiritual investment in human life. Activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed. Otherwise, the whole attempt becomes a failure, correct? But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. So the performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work is in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. See, 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. So material activities and the results end with the body. But work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one further chance for elevation. So this is a unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. See, after being dishonored by his stepmother, Dhruva Maharaj, he rushed to his mother. We saw that, Suniti. And being an ideal mother, she guides him to direct his passion in the service of the Lord by asking him to go to forest, perform Annala devotional service. Right? So seeing the determination of Dhruva Maharaj, then Narada Muni also explains the process of achieving the perfection. So any benefit in this world, be it material or spiritual, when we get it immediately without any endeavor, we fail to understand the value of the same. Got it? For example, if we start responding to whatever demands our children place before us by buying all the things they want immediately for them, they would never know the value of those things. They would have opinion they can get anything and everything in this world by simply crying out their needs. So in the long run, this would be very bad impact on the life of the children, right? Because they would never realize or appreciate the hard work involved in getting the things they wished. Nor would they have the maturity to accept situations when they cannot get what they wanted. Not only children, even elders like us become careless in our service if we are successful at work, initially without any struggles. Now, foolishly, we would start believing on our capacity and claim credit for ourselves for all success. A spiritual master who is sincerely surrendered to Supreme Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself and is capable of offering any benediction to his disciple. But just like a responsible father, spiritual master, being the best well-wisher for his disciples, never offers blessings which would not be suitable for their spiritual advancement. So this point is very nicely explained in the purport. Narada Muni is referred as Bhagwan because he can bless any person, just as Supreme Personality of Godhead can. So Narada Muni was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj. And he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. Correct? Narada Muni could have given Dhruva Maharaj. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. His duty is to engage his disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. So he gave him the mantra, how to do the austerity, right? The process he gave him. And he followed. And that's why he was successful. Prabhupada gives us the example of Arjuna and Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Killing the enemies in Kurukshetra is a child's play for Krishna. But still he wanted Arjuna to fight. And in the process obtained divine knowledge. So Narada Muni wanted Dhruva Maharaj. So just like saying, no, rough seas make efficient sailors, right? So Narada Muni wanted Dhruva Maharaj to endeavor sincerely and meditate on Lord Lotus feet. and then get the results of his desires. So by following the instructions of his Guru with firm determination, Dhruva Maharaj pleased Krishna. The Supreme Lord not only satisfied his material desire, but also could make him realize the futility of such desires. Thus, if he repented, know what he was repenting. Dhruva Maharaj was repenting when he got. So, following the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, we should pray that we could engage in our lives in the service of Guru and Krishna and Prabhupada without any material motives. So, what is leadership? See, before we start, forget the stereotype image of leadership. Forget the power, no? Forget the prestige. Leadership is not that. We can understand leadership from looking at the word itself. It consists of two words: leadership. So leadership is the notion of leading someone somewhere. Just like a captain on a ship is determining where those on board are eventually going to end up. A mad leader can lead you to madness. A good leader can lead you to goodness. An important point which is often missed in leadership is that a leader himself must be led by someone actually wiser than himself. So according to the law of dharma, leader must seek out a truly saintly guidance. Imitations will not do. So throughout the Mahabharata, which is the source book of dharma, many sages, headed by Narada Muni, leads King Yudhishthira by teaching the ins and outs of dharmic leadership. In Bhagavatam also we find kings like Parikshit Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj always followed the good counsel and advice provided by the sages. And therefore they could lead their subjects in the path of dharma. See, the Pandavas, in spite of all the difficulties they had to go through, they emerged victorious because they were unflinchingly attached to Supreme Lord Krishna. They were very tolerant also of all the turbulences they had to go through. And above all, they were fully respectful of the elders like Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Vidura, Dhritarashtra, right? Dhritarashtra also. So respecting others, especially elders, is foreign to us who are the products of Kali Yuga. At the slightest disturbance, we flare up at others and even dare to challenge the authority of elders. But this disrespect will create the greatest havoc in our lives. So respect should come from our hearts, should not be superficial. So being pleased with their behavior, elders will bless us from the core of their hearts. And Krishna will immediately grant their blessings upon us. Therefore, it is Bhagavatam 10:4-46. My dear king, when a man persecutes great souls, all his benedictions of longevity, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, and promotion to higher planets will be destroyed. Mahat atikramaha means trespassing against the great personalities. The Vedic culture is to always be respectful to the elderly personalities. So we have the example of two opposing characters in Mahabharata. One who was extremely respectful to everyone, and one who was completely disrespectful towards everyone, including the elders. Yudhishthira Maharaj is eternally glorified for his exemplary character, mature behavior. Even in the worst circumstances, he was strictly following the rules of dharma, like respecting elders, not speaking lies, being honest, and so on. As a result, all the elders were pleased with him and showered their blessings upon him. So he emerged victorious ultimately, in spite of the hardest challenges he had to face. On the other hand, Duryodhana was so puffed up that he dared to challenge almost everyone around. He treated all the elders like Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, almost like his maid servants. In fact, chastised Mahatma Vidura also in unspeakable words and drove him out of the kingdom. Now, though Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya, and others fought on the side of Duryodhana, because their hearts were not with him, he could not emerge victorious, even though he had a stronger army and greater leaders on his side. If not for devotional service, at least for the sake of obtaining longevity, opulence, wealth, beauty, and blessings, it is very prudent for us to respect elders and thereby please the Lord. By disrespecting and neglecting the elder souls, we are definitely entering into the bad books of Krishna, and there is no way out of them. So there's a very wonderful quotation from Harry S. Truman, no, the president, former president of the United States, with respect to devotees to cooperate in devotional service through sharing. He says, it is amazing what you can accomplish. It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. Beautiful statement. So let us see a few points. First, the greatest disservice is not to share your service. You may die, but the service should never die. It's not about you, it's about Krishna. His glory must be spread. This is the first point. This is with regard to cooperating in devotional service through sharing. The second point is, my Guru Maharaj used to say, if you are massaging the Lord's body and someone else comes along you, we want to share that service. The Lord appreciates variety. But we are selfishly thinking, right? Only I should get the mercy. We must accept the qualities of others. If someone else is better than you in massaging, then you should allow that person to massage. In this way, the Lord will get more pleasure. The point is not in building your pride. Point is to please the Lord. If you give up your pride, you may please the Lord. The third point is, externally don't be too caught up with your image. Internally, work only for the pleasure of Krishna. That is devotional service. Fourth point, unless and until you understand these things, the show is always there. Show, it's only a show. See, if Prabhupada decided to do everything, what you and I would be having this, we will never be having this conversation. So Prabhupada just gave it out, right, for everyone to follow. The fifth point is, the root cause is the obnoxious taste we have developed for accepting credit for all our actions. We are completely ignoring Krishna. So this verse 9:5:24 is very important to understand. It says, after 1 year, when Dhruva Maharaj had returned, Durvasa Muni, after 1 year when Durvasa Muni returned, King Ambrisha, he sumptuously fed him all varieties of pure food. And then he himself also ate. So when the king saw that the Brahmana Durvasa had been released from the great danger of being burnt by the Sudarshana Chakra, he could understand that by the grace of the Lord, he himself was also powerful. Ambarish Maharaj was, but he did not take any credit, for everything had been done by Krishna. So this want for credit in whatever we do is actually a product of our material baggage. See, in the material world, we are always told to include our boss in the CC, copy, CC loop, so that he is informed about the work we are performing. So when the boss knows that what we are doing, we get our desires fulfilled in the form of appreciation, remuneration. In the spiritual field, we must understand that this concept is incompatible. The Lord is in all our hearts. He knows what we are doing and for what motive we are doing. So when we perform a service, Krishna instantly appreciates it. But we fail to see the value of his appreciation and then hanker for appreciation from everyone else. We fail to see the value of pleasing the Lord's senses. So when the living entity fails to see the goal of his service, he begins to treat devotional service as mere mundane work. See, work can be done by anyone, but devotional service is reserved only for devotees and aspiring devotees. See, each of us know our individual mindsets. If we are truly here to please Guru and Krishna, we should then free ourselves from this restriction of accepting credit for ourselves. See, we are restricting the Lord's service when we want to claim credit. Please understand, very important one. We are restricting the Lord's service when we want to claim credit. We should free ourselves from this social formality, and freely engage everything and everyone in the service of the Lord. So when we are free by remembering the Lord very intensely within our hearts, In all our activities, we will begin to appreciate the need to engage everyone in the service of Krishna. So if one cannot appreciate the remembrance of Krishna, then that living entity will always grab more and more work, right? Seva. He cannot be considered devotion. It cannot be considered devotion service. It is done only for claiming credit, but not to remember Krishna. And thereby he will restrict himself, no, and everyone else from the service to Krishna. So that Truman's quote was very nice, no? It doesn't matter who gets the credit, as long as Guru and Krishna are pleased. We are ready to accept anything or give up anything. It doesn't matter who gets the credit, as long as Guru and Krishna are pleased. We are ready to accept anything or give up anything. So this mature behavior and leadership qualities, we all come from this episode of Dhruva Maharaj, right? We can see how they accept. So we wanted to, the beautiful lesson we can take, how we can become mature in our behavior in devotional service. And what is actually the leadership? By taking the guidance and respecting elders. So the last paragraph of this 4966, Prabhupada says, when a Vaishnava king like Dhruva Maharaj is the head of the government of the entire world, the world is so happy that it is not possible to imagine or describe. Even now, if people would all become Krishna conscious, the democratic government of the present day would be exactly like the kingdom of heaven. If all people became Krishna conscious, they would vote for persons of the category of Dhruva Maharaj. If the post of chief executive were occupied by such a Vaishnava, all the problems of satanic government will be solved. The youthful generation of the present day is very enthusiastic in trying to overthrow government in different parts of the world. But unless people are Krishna conscious like Dhruva Maharaj, there will be no appreciable changes in government, because people who hanker to attain political position by hook or by crook cannot think of the welfare of the people. They're only busy to keep their position of prestige and monetary gain. They have very little time to think of the welfare of the citizens. So the mature behavior and leadership quality by offering obeisances or respect to elders and following their instructions, very, very important. Thereby we improve our behavior, and such a leader can only lead everyone for the welfare of all the citizens. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much, Mataji. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. You have any questions? If you want to share, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, thank you for taking us to a dream world.
Hare Krishna.
We have to stay, I think, work towards what Dhruva has achieved and what instructions or you have laid down to us so that we can achieve these kind of perfections in our society. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. That was maturity in behavior. No? That's very important.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was just thinking of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Nirmala Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, I was about to talk that only. That how I wish, be it the opposition leader or the ruling party, wish every one of the politicians in the parliament, they hear this beautiful narration and then they reform themselves and bring about some total, not even some change. It should be a total metamorphosis that should happen in our beautiful country, Prabhuji, which is so resourceful, which is the very seat of spiritual. We are spiritual leaders.
True.
Wish everybody could take lessons from this, imbibe the best things, and savor the cream of this. Our beautiful possession of scriptures and all, rather than trading them for petty money and sense gratification and personal satisfaction. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mataji. Very nice point. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, the seeds of what is that unhealthy competition has is sown right from childhood in every child's mind, with all I want to do better than him, I want to do better than him. It's there in our corporate offices, hospitals. I'm just getting reminded of all what we went through, Prabhuji, till
Correct.
date.
True, true.
We could have just not had all this, where if we had a proper Gurukul system.
Mm. True, Mataji. Very nice point.
If Truman could say it, and why are we unnecessarily doing all this? I just don't know.
And then what to do?
Probably, I am going to share this lecture with many of my colleagues, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
You smart words from me, Mataji. I'm just waiting when he will share the lecture of today, and I'm gonna all my contacts and all. Then I'll make them. I will not rest until I get a blue tick in the WhatsApp that he has read it or not, or whatever it is. I am also not going to spare anyone and share it to my MBA lecturers and all, whoever was there. Say, please share it. Please share it. I'm gonna forward this. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I think you should be going to all these corporate offices and all, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Gurudev Vijay. Hare Krishna.
We need this. We need this.
Sure. Yeah. See, Prabhupada also tried his level best. No, he wrote to Indira Gandhi and all those times. Unless they took everybody takes to Krishna consciousness, it's not so easy. It's not possible. That's why we are seeing in this current world, right? But very few are there, but many people around him are corrupt. So that's a person who want to do good also is not able to do. But anyway, we have to pray to Krishna. So that's the only way we can get it done.
Thank you so much.
See, not necessarily in material world, even the spiritual world, spiritual organization also things are like that. We have to be very, very careful because we bring the material tendency into the spiritual atmosphere. That we have to keep it outside.
Prabhuji, I have also made it a point to recite Swastasya Vishwasya Kala Prasidatam and then Dhruva and Mukam Karochi in my daily prayers. If not sitting at home, this is the only fervent prayer that we can ask of.
Beautiful prayer. Correct. Very nice prayer. That prayer is very useful. So it goes out and at least, like people say in the universe. So people, envious person will be satisfied, all those things can be done. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Balaji Prabhu.
In this Kali Yuga, no, even some of the kings or our, the presidents or prime ministers, whatever, if they are, trained saintly, they have been criticized very badly. Even if they do some meditation or if they go to some, holy places, etc.
Yeah.
There is a group of the gang is there to criticize. Oh,
correct. True. That's right. That's what is happening. And in media, they put through all these things, right? Anyway, we will try our level best within our means. Pray to Krishna for all the good things to come up in life for everybody. Thank you, Prabhu's Matajis. Let's stop here. Thank you, Shanta.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Waiting for the copy of this lecture, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. When I get it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And that's why he says, like when Krishna has mentioned, all these spiritual things have to come from the top, from the leader. Then only the others will take them.
The leader also has to take from the better. Like those days, they take advice from Brahmanas, right? Kshatriyas. That only they will be.
So that's why the Bhagavad Gita was first instructed to Sun God, no?
Sun God, first one, correct.
Succession was.
True. Very nice. Thank you.
Like the chapter 4 was mentioning from.
Yeah. Perfect. Very well. Thank you.
I just remember a moment a promotion letter or an increment is given to everybody in the office and all. It just massages their ego. Yeah, look, today I have got empowered. But they just like that for all of us, for employment essential qualification, unless we meet out and we meet the requirements, we are not even considered. Our application is not considered. Similarly, when in an official or a government or whoever it is, be it XYZ and all, every Tom, Dick and Harry should be made. I mean, it should be made compulsory for them to read these thing and then give a pass. They should pass in that exam, only then should they be qualified for receiving the promotional letter or the increment or whatever is the monetary, because they are making it compulsory. Come on, you have to retire 60 years, get lost from here. Judges, they can.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
There is no essential qualification for them. Only
Yes.
essential qualification, you should have money, you should have gundaism and hooligans and all that. Kitne dada hai to pass,
True.
that's it. Only people are evaluated and politicians are evaluated only on these grounds. All the essential qualification rules and all is applicable only to a middle class person.
Mm. Yeah, it's a big discussion, Mataji. It goes on and on. We cannot. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Shantagonda Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad Pranams. Hare Krishna.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
class today.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki. Vancha kalpataru Vishkripa Sandhu Bhaya Vicha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava.